Hello and welcome inside the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex in Brookings and this Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special. The South Dakota State University football team about to get set for their spring game. I am Tom Neiman along with Hank McCall, and great to have you with us here. And a little taste of football here early on. Hank, to call this a game is not really accurate. It's a practice, but what can the fans and what can we find out about the Jackrabbits in this spring football game?
Well, yeah, you're right. It's certainly not a game. This is their last practice of the spring session, and really as fans and as people who follow the program, what you do, you come out here and you can get an idea as to how things are shaking out at certain positions, as to how guys have progressed in their off-season training regimen. And for the coaches, hey, it's just one more chance for these guys to get out here, get some additional reps. Maybe some of the guys who are on the fringe as far as a starter or locking up a second string spot headed into fall camp, just get maybe them take a step forward, make a play or two, and get noticed.
And just get jacked up going through the spring and the summer and into the fall coming up for the next season. The Jackrabbits coming off a year where they went 8-4. Disappointing, lost the last game of the regular season, lost in the first round of the playoffs at Montana, but it was the fourth straight year in the playoffs. The minimum expectations for this team are very high. The very least is now a whole lot for this SDSU program.
I think there's kind of a refocused mentality. I think we're a pretty mature program, and our expectations are to be in the playoffs. Our expectations are to be a top 8 seed now, because we were there, we were on that doorstep. And so hungry, motivated, angry, it doesn't matter to me. Just do the work and have the focus and take care of your body, do all those things that allows you to have a chance at that.
The mission is to get in the playoffs every year, and we've been talking about top 8 seed for the last 2 years. That's the next step, and in my opinion, we need to find a way to get out of the second round of the playoffs.
All right, Hank, the Jackrabbits will have 4 new position coaches this year. 3 of those on offense, offensive line, running back, and wide receiver. We'll get to those positions in a minute, but let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla on top of the elephant in the room. The big question is the quarterbacks. And again, we've got the question. Zach Lujan will be back as a senior. Taryn Christian will be back as a sophomore. Both played last year, but you were never sure who was going to play or why or when. And we still don't know at this point who it's going to be when we open up at TCU. Is this a concern for you, the quarterback question again?
Well, and it certainly should be. These guys are trying to figure out who's going to be the guy moving forward. But it's a very difficult decision given the fact that they understand that they have 2 very capable guys of leading this football team. Both of them performed admirably last year in replacement of one another, as each of them went down with various items last year that they were dealing with. And we're coming in here today, and Zach, he's not playing here today. He's hurt again after another surgery. So it's been Taryn's boat all throughout spring ball, some invaluable reps for him. I know he's taken some strides not only on the field but in the weight room as well. He looks fantastic out here, heck of an athlete. But it's just it's another practice, and a heck of a lot more is going to be known about 4 months from now when these guys roll it out during fall camp.
As you said, Zach Lujan had hip surgery again this year. It's the second surgery he's had, both hips now, but he will be back in fall ball, obviously. He knows the system as well as anyone, better than Taryn Christian. Taryn Christian, incredible athlete, but still learning. He is the number 1 guy, as you said, here in the spring, but we asked Coach Stiglmeyer, will they split time? Will both play equally when we get to the regular season? Here's what he had to say.
Not necessarily, no. Last year, Zach goes down, we pull a red shirt. After you pull the red shirt, you have your starter, and you have a true freshman that you owe it to him to play. And so they were different cards last year, almost a different card game last year. And so those guys will compete, and the number 1 guy will play, and if he's struggling, the number 2 guy will come in. And what a great situation to have 2 veteran-type quarterbacks.
It's too early to say, and I think they're both so competitive that we just have to kind of see where it goes. But there's still a lot of room for improvement.
All right, so we'll let you know on September 2nd, the night before they play TCU. You okay with that?
I am. It's going to take some time, a whole lot of time in between now and then to figure out who the guy will be.
All right, more on the offense when we come back. Why is there a defensive lineman now a probable starter on the offensive line? Will Sam Zenner, Zach's little brother, get some time at running back this year? Who's going to catch the ball besides Jake Winicky? Can Dallas Goddard be any more of a freaky athletic animal at tight end? We'll answer those questions when we come back.
The 2016 SDSU Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special, and let's talk about the offensive line, Hank McCall. This is a group that you really don't notice a lot until they screw up or mess up, and that's tough on these guys, but you don't like big, just affable, nice guys that push people around on the offensive line. You got to be a little nasty, right?
Absolutely, and I think that edge was a little bit of something that this group was missing quite a bit last year. Really up and down. We saw these guys come out with some fire on a number of occasions, but it seemed like one week one group would show up, and next week it'd be an entirely different group. So, there's a bunch of injuries with these guys. Carr, we're going to talk about him in a bit, but he's not playing today. Hasn't practiced really throughout spring. So a whole lot of question marks yet to be answered with the offensive line, and some big question marks.
The Jacks have a new offensive line coach this year. His name is Jason Eck, and they will have at least 3 new starters when they come to the opener this fall.
O-line is a concern only because of the maturity, and it's different there. I mean, you got to play together. You got to be physically ready. You can't just play a redshirt freshman because he's the best guy, because he's got to be strong enough to do it. And so there's a lot of maturing and growing together as a group. But we have a great leader in Jacob Onosorgi, one of our captains again, and so they'll be ready come August 3rd.
We talk a lot about it's the power of a collective. One guy playing really well, it doesn't mean a lot in the O-line. We need all 5 guys playing together and playing well. That's when we can really impact the game.
So probably set with Jacob Onosorgi at center. He'll be a 2-year starter going into his junior season. Matt Clark will be at the right guard. He played every game last year for the Jacks. Tiano Pupangatoa was a defensive lineman last year. Probably will be a starter on the offensive line, though this year at left guard. He was recruited by the Jacks as an offensive lineman, and Jason X says that he is coming along nicely back on the offensive side. Now, Nick Carr should be back at left tackle. Big guy, 6'8", 380 pounds. He's the key, you think, on the offensive line.
Oh, we absolutely need him to be back, be ready to go. He's been hurt, the majority of the past year. They shut him down in spring ball here. It just wasn't worth it. He is an invaluable piece to this puzzle that is the offensive line for SDSU in 2016. Got to get him ready to go. He's got to be healthy.
So Carr at left tackle most likely, and then on the other side, Charlie Harmon, who played left tackle last year, probably moving over to right tackle on the offensive line. The other spot you're going to see a lot of new faces this year is at wide receiver. Of course, Jake Winicky is back. He's the one guy everybody in the nation knows about. He's got 27 touchdown catches in 26 games in his first 2 years for the Jackrabbits, and that was a lot of last year on a bum leg that he finished up the season with. And Winicky held out of spring workouts here for the most part as a precaution because they want him 100% this fall. So you got Winicky, you got Connor Landberg, and then 2 guys that you were talking about last year, even though they sat out as true freshmen. Number 11 is Marquise Lewis. Number 80, Adam Anderson. What about these 2 young guys?
Well, the fact of the matter is we need these 2 young guys to step up and become the playmakers that they were brought in here to be. I heard nothing but great things from the coaching staff about these guys over the past fall as they were working on the scout team. Athletic young guys that can run and jump and catch the football. Very excited about their future potential, and it's absolutely vital for them to come through. We know we're going to get out of Winicky. He's an All-American. Last year we were questioning whether or not he could repeat his freshman performance. Well, he did it, and we know what we're going to get from him. Now, who's going to step up and be the guy next to him?
So Lewis and Anderson, the word you hear about them is suddenness, explosiveness. Here's new wide receivers coach Robert Arnheim talking about these 2 young guys.
You talk about Adam. He's kind of got that deep threat capability, getting behind the 3rd level. Does a really nice job getting in and out of his cuts. And then when you talk about Marquise, really sudden, explosive guy with the ball in his hand. So does some really nice job with some underneath routes. Can really stretch the field also. Really good in the seams and getting vertical. So really excited about those 2. And I think they've gotten better this spring.
All right, and we will see about Alex Wilde. He will be a sophomore kid from Sioux Falls, a good size at 6'3", who could get some catches this year as well. At tight end, the Jackrabbits have another South Dakota kid who is really good. Dallas Goddard is from Britain, South Dakota, was a first-team All-Missouri Valley last year as a sophomore. New weight records for the tight ends this year. In the weight room, he bench pressed 370 pounds, and Goddard can line up at a lot of different spots because he is big and fast.
Dallas can really run, and his size, it's a mismatch for smaller corners and safeties. So we try and take advantage of that, and resulted in big plays last year. So that's something that we'll continue to do. And the great thing about it is that it keeps defenses guessing because they don't know where he's going to line up playing and play out.
Well, Dallas Goedert had 26 catches last year. 3 of those went for touchdowns for the Jackrabbits. And at running back, Hank, it was all Zach Zenner 2 years ago. It was a combination of Brady Mangarelli, Kyle Paris, and Isaac Wallace last year. Did it work with all 3 of those guys getting some carries?
It did. This run game suffered for a variety of reasons last year. I really do think that one of these guys has to step up and kind of emerge as the front runner for this group, become the leader. Mangarelli is the leader of the group vocally, I think. But who's gonna want to step up and be the number one guy who's going to get the majority of the carries, not just for the first 3 games and then maybe somebody else does it, but for the majority of the year. Say, I'm the guy, this is my team, let's go.
All right. John Johnson is the new running backs coach for the Jackrabbits. He says having all 3 guys allows you to change tempo if you want to, and you don't get your guys beat up quite as much during the season.
I really think it's a good deal, especially we run the pro style offense. We run in between the tackles. We're not running outside the tackles a lot. We run inside the tackle. We're gonna be getting banged up a lot. So, having three guys in rotation, try to keep those guys as healthy as possible throughout the season.
And Sam Zenner, Zach Zenner's taller, faster little brother, is another possibility at running back. He will be a redshirt freshman. He's out right now for the spring season after having knee surgery, but he could and probably will be in the mix at running back come this fall. We will get to the defense coming up next. The Jacks are going to be strong in the middle, young at linebacker, really young at cornerback, and very solid at safety. We'll see what's up on defense when we come back.
The 2016 SDSU Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to Brookings and the Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special. Time to talk about defense. And Hank, were the Jacks okay? Were they good? Were they not good? What were they on defense last season?
Oh, they were a solid unit that this team could rely on all year last year. The defensive line stepped up in a tremendous way, took some serious strides, and really made some plays for this team. Now, obviously some vital guys that we'll talk about here in a bit that ended up leaving the program for, like a graduation, time to go. So you got some serious holes to fill, but the good news is we got some athletic guys who are ready to step up.
TJ Lally is gone, Jerian Butler and Jimmy Forsyth, those senior cornerbacks are gone, but Coach John Stiegelmeier thinks that the defense is going to be really good.
I don't know those names of the guys that are gone. You mentioned, we try to move on. In fact, last year, TJ Lally said, let's talk about who we have, not who we lost. So I'm going to honor him with that statement. I think our defense has had a great spring. They have great energy, great confidence. Coaches are doing a great job. I'm excited.
Well, one group of guys that should be really good are the defensive tackles. Cole Langer will be a senior, Shane Gottlieb will be a senior, and Kellen Solik will be a junior at the defensive tackle spot for the Jacks.
Really blessed to have 3 guys that have been the core of the group for 3 consecutive years with Shane Gottlieb, Cole Langer, and Kellen Solik. Those guys have played at a high level, played at a really high level last year.
Blake Witzel's one possibility. Caleb Lang is another guy that could be that 4th guy at the defensive tackle spot for the Jacks. On the outside of the defensive line, Jared Bloom is back. Clint Brown says that Bloom had to relearn how to play the position. He was a transfer from Nebraska, played defensive end, or tight end there, played defensive end in high school, but Jared Bloom is way ahead of where he was last year. Christian Benaziak is also back. He played 2 games last year, left for personal reasons, went back home to Florida, but he is back in Brookings, back with the Jacks, and kind of starting over, but Benaziak could and should be really good.
He's come a long way. He's got a lot of explosion. Still makes mistakes. Technically, he's a redshirt freshman going into his redshirt sophomore year, but he's got the juice to be a pretty special player.
All right, at linebacker, Hank, there's a big hole to fill without TJ Lally there, but what about the guys coming back?
Well, we know Jesse Bobbitt, he's going to be the anchor of that group. Had himself a breakout season last year. Fully expect him to assume the leadership role of the linebacking core. Dallas Brown, he'll be back, one of the upperclassmen. He's made some big-time plays for SDSU over the last 3 years, really. But otherwise, you got a couple question marks there, and it sounds like some names have emerged over the past year.
One of those is Christian Rosaboom. He's a redshirt freshman from Iowa that will probably be the starter at middle linebacker. And then you got Dalton Cox, Cody Hazlett, the guys who played a lot last year. Sophomore Eric Kleinschmidt is in the mix at linebacker as well. And this is really a position that gets a lot of attention for better or for worse.
you can shine, but you can also be the guy getting yelled at too. So it's a position that you got to be right a lot, you know, because if you're wrong, it's easy to be six. So I'm excited about this group. We're young, but we're ready to play.
Well, in the defensive secondary for the Jacks, one group that is loaded is the safety position. The Jacks are nicked up, and that's a good thing. Both starters, Nick Farina and Nick Mears, will be coming back.
Nick Mears, you know, is the heart and soul, I think, of our unit, and has been voted a captain and a leader. He hasn't had the spring he's wanted due to injury, but has also allowed us to see some guys that we really need to see. And the young guys are really pushing. But to bring back guys that have, you know, game reps, which you can't replicate, you know, I think is very big for our unit and our defense ultimately.
Well, in addition to Mears and Farina, you got Chris Balster and Micaiah Slade and Alex Romanesco. All those guys got some time last year at safety that are coming back. And that leaves the corners, Hank. The Jacks have to replace Jerian Butler and Jimmy Forsythe. And they've got one kid, at least, Jordan Brown, that we know is going to be really good.
Oh, no, two very important positions to fill. Some guys who played in a lot of games for the Jackrabbits in Forsythe and Jerian, who are now gone. So, you know, these young guys, we know we have athletic young corners that are on this roster. It's just a matter of who's going to set themselves apart from the group and come out there with some confidence, which is priority number one for somebody at the cornerback position. You got to believe in yourself, and if you're going to get beat, you'll be able to bounce back the next play. You'll be just fine. So which one of those young guys outside of Jordan Brown is going to step up and get it done?
All right, here's Coach Dan Jackson talking about Jordan Brown.
He's as big and as strong and as athletic. He's more so than the kids that we've had. But he's making the most of his opportunities out there. So Jordan is a guy that has really asserted himself. Then on the other side, we've got a handful of guys that are going to be ready to roll in the fall. We've got guys working in the spring. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. We bring in some talented young guys that I'm going to try to get ready to go on the other side. And then there's a kid, Zy Mosley, actually, that sat out this last year. And he'll be ready to go in the fall.
Well, Zy Mosley's not even on the roster yet, but he's going to be, and he's another one of those guys that you heard whispers about last year that he is going to be really good, so we will see. And the trend also toward taller corners like Jordan Brown, guys that are 6 foot, long arms, and can really cover to go against these bigger wide receivers today. All right, up next, a quick look at special teams. Who's going to be the new kicker, who's going to be the new holder, and who's going to be the new punt returner now that Jerian Butler is gone.
The 2016 SDSU Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back to the Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special in Brookings. A couple of quick hits on special teams. New safeties coach Jake Dickard and tight ends coach Luke Schleitzner will handle the special teams coaching duties this year. The Jacks will have Brady Hale back as the punter. He'll be a sophomore. Thayer Trenhill will be back as the long snapper. And Chase Vinatieri, a redshirt freshman from Sioux Falls, will take over as the kicker.
We saw some things in the film last year where we feel like we can enhance and get ourselves to being, you know, a top 25 punting unit and kicking unit in the country. So we have depth at linebacker to cover special teams, and with Vinny and Brady, you know, we feel really good where we're at with those kicking positions.
Tyler Finnis, one of the backup quarterbacks, was the holder last year. Sounds like Taryn Christian will take over the holder duties this year. He and Jace Vinatieri, both from Sioux Falls Roosevelt, have that connection there. As far as returns go, Jerian Butler was a really good punt returner last year, and that's a hard guy to replace, isn't it?
No, it absolutely is. Somebody you got to be able to trust back there on such a big play that is an exchange of possession like a punt return. You need somebody that you can believe in and know is going to make the right decision when that ball's in the air.
Trevor Wesley was the kick returner. Both those guys are gone now. Sounds like Brady Mengarelli will go back and be the kick return guy, and probably wide receiver Marquise Lewis as the punt returner.
Punt return's a little more difficult than kick return, just as far as a little bit more decision making that goes into that. So the punt return, you need a guy with moxie, and a guy like Jerian that would run up in there and catch some things in traffic and make plays. So just need a guy that's going to be smart and take care of the football and hopefully generate some big plays.
Some big plays would be great. Jacks did not have a punt or a kick return for a touchdown all of last season. We will finish it up next with a look at the 2016 schedule.
The 2016 SDSU Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back once again to the Jackrabbit Spring Football Special. And Hank, players get bigger, faster, stronger coming in every year. Not that uncommon to see some true freshmen coming in and making some plays now, is it?
No, it's not. More so now than it ever has been in the program's history, because we're getting the kind of guys that can come in and make immediate impacts. And usually because we got a couple of injuries here and there and say, hey, bud, we need you to come out here and play sooner than what we originally thought.
Here are three guys that are obviously not here in the spring game, but will be here as true freshmen that could have an impact. Keep these names in mind. Jacob Brown at wide receiver. He is Jordan Brown's little brother. Monte McGarry is a kid out of Omaha at cornerback. And Elijah Wilson, a recruit at defensive end that could come in and play a little bit as a freshman. And finally, the Jacks will break the seal this fall on Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium. 19,300 seats. The grandstand work's going to be done here in the next couple of months. The artificial turf will be the last thing to go in. There's a Luke Bryan concert on September 8th, and then the home opener on September 10th, the Missouri Valley Conference opener on October 1st. I look down, there's at least 8 wins there. That's got to be the minimum bar this year again for the Jacks.
Absolutely. 8 wins, that's been kind of the staple for the last few years. Expectations are very high for this program, and Coach Stig, every year it's always a patchwork. You always have holes to fill, and Stig and his coaches have been the guys to put together competitive teams year in and year out.
All right, we will see you this fall with Jackrabbit Football. Thanks for watching the Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special.